My name is Tom Kamber. I'm the executive director and founder of a nonprofit organization based in New York City in the United States. It's called Older Adults Technology Services. Everybody calls us OATS.
I see. Right.
Sure. So Senior Planet is a program of OATS, and we created it about 10 years ago when we were working to create an environment where older people could come and learn technology and do it in a place that was focused on aging. So when I founded OATS, the first thing we did was learn how to develop quality training programs for people, and all of the programs were for people over 60. And those programs were very successful. We were able to teach people, but we found that many people that we were teaching wanted not just to take a computer class, but to do something that was specific to their lives as older people. So maybe starting a business, or maybe building new kinds of friendships, or doing a creative project that was something they had been waiting for many years to do. So we started Senior Planet as a center to bring together our training and all the different things that people were trying to do as activities. And today, all of our programs that are designed for older people that we really run around the country, we have programs all over America now. Those programs are all, they're all framed within the idea of Senior Planet. So they're free to the end users. They're organized around aging. They link technology with projects that people have that are having specific purposes. And that's what we call Senior Planet.
I see. So I understand that the Senior Planet is only for the senior older people to learn how to use the PC or the digital devices, but also for providing the job opportunity or community for those senior people, right?
Exactly.
Great. So now we around the world have experienced a hard time because of the pandemic. So how did Senior Planet response to the spread of COVID-19?
Senior Planet was originally working to make more of our programs digital already about 3 years ago, because we realized that as we did more programs, we had people who wanted to take the classes, but they were living somewhere else. They might have been in California or in Tokyo. And so we wanted to create frameworks. We wanted to create opportunities for people to do that. So we were already experimenting with digital classes before COVID. When COVID started, we had about 200 modules of technology training that were available online, but we had never delivered them through Zoom. And so what we had to do was change the delivery model so that we could do it through Zoom and begin training those programs digitally, but using Zoom as the format. So we changed those programs in about 2 weeks. We got started, and within about 6 weeks, we had almost all of our programs in a somewhat different format, but they were all available to deliver on the internet. And so since COVID started, we were able to do about 280,000 engagements. That's people that came to the classes. And we've had programs running every day on average. Many times we'll have 2 or 3 classes in a single day. We're able to continue to deliver them across the country. We do English and Spanish and a little bit of Chinese and Russian and some other languages. We'd love to do Japanese. That's in the future, but we'd like to do that. And we were able to grow during COVID because so many people needed the programs that we were providing. So Senior Planet actually developed more initiatives. We were able to do a project with the city of New York to give away computers and provide free wireless, free Wi-Fi as to people that couldn't afford it as part of COVID. We did 10,000 computers that we distributed with the city of New York, the government. So some of the programs have gotten bigger and more effective, but we all miss the face-to-face. We miss the chance to see people and to touch them and to be next to them. And so we're eager to return and start working in person again. That's going to happen over the summer in small amounts. And then by October, we think a lot of our programs will be, hopefully will be running again in the classes.
That's wonderful. I have heard that the attitude of instructor or a staff member at the Senior Planet show kind of respect to those seniors that come to the Senior Planet. Like, are there any special training for the staff members?
There are a lot of trainings that we provide. And so there's a few things that we do. First of all, when we hire people, we ask them about why they want this job, why they would want to work at a place like OATS. And we listen, and we're looking for people that are respectful of others, but also that are that value social experience with older people. Not just that they're, it's one thing to be respectful and behave well. It's another thing to actually want to spend time with older people because you like it. And so we look for people that have that experience, that can demonstrate it, not just with your family, but maybe in a local senior center or a program. So we're seeking people that have that mentality of curiosity and that appreciate the diverse experience, that intergenerational, or some of them are older adults themselves, but they enjoy working with people. When we do the trainings, we teach people to think about aging as a series of changing opportunities for people. So when we train a new staff person, we don't say, here's when you teach the mouse, and here's when you teach the keyboard, and here's when you teach email. That's in the book, and it does happen. But we mostly say things like, here's where you ask people why they're there and write it down and think about it. And here's where you make sure that the people in the room are having a conversation about, why they're using email. For example, it's a very simple example, but when older people use email, they're working in a society where people aren't always used to getting messages from older adults. And so you have to make sure that your format for communicating is a little bit more typical for email, so that people will listen to you and understand you better. And our trainers are trained to help people listen for that format. A lot of it is about communication. And then finally, our organization has a culture at OATS that is all about the excitement that we all feel around aging. We've added all of these years to the human lifespan, but we haven't really learned what to do with them as a society yet. And so we're excited about aging. And when people work with us at the office, they're part of that. They feel that every day. And if they don't really fit in. And so that isn't maybe the right job for them. So we try to make sure people get a chance to really understand the organization's culture as well.
Impressive. Isolation due to the COVID-19 has highlighted digital divide in Japanese society. So I think we have a lot to learn from you and your organization. All right, next, what was your motivation of starting Senior Planet in the first place?
Well, I am a social activist. So when I was a young person, when I was a teenager, I worked already on the environment. I was concerned about clean water and the oceans. And I spent a lot of my time working to help raise awareness about the environment. And then when I was in college and after college, I worked on homelessness, for people, helping get housing for people that didn't have anywhere to live. And as I got older, I wanted to do something that would make a difference in, from almost more from a generational standpoint, like my generation, which is people my age that are getting older, that have experienced the same things. We all have our challenges. And what was interesting to me was that technology wasn't just for fun. It wasn't just a game, but it was also really giving us a new series of tools for social benefit for each other. So we could research and we could communicate and we could organize and we could influence and we could help people in new ways. And so I started working for technology nonprofits. And when I did that, almost the first year was in New York. We were working after the 9/11 disaster. And an older woman asked me if I could, she wanted to come to my website event. And I said, sure. She said, I don't know how to use the internet. And I said, well, I'll teach you. And I thought it would be easy. I thought it would take, an hour or 2 hours. And she came to my office on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I volunteered for her to help her. And when I asked her to take the mouse and point at something on the screen, she picked up the mouse and she pointed it up at the screen like that. And I stopped and I said, well, wow, you've never held a mouse before. And she said, no. And so we started talking about that. And it was kind of like going to a special foreign country that you've never been there before and getting to meet somebody. And they were trying to learn something or explain something to me that I was having to learn with her. And so every week we met for a year, every Monday. And her name was Pearl. She passed away about 5 years ago, but this was the very beginning of OATS. And I was so excited about what she was doing. And not just that she was learning, but that she was an 87-year-old person who had all sorts of cool things going on. She had all these exciting projects, and she was learning to dance, and she was getting a bus shelter in her neighborhood, and she was starting a local religious organization to help in her community. And I thought that was just very interesting and very exciting. And so I started OATS because I wanted to do more work like that.
I just remember that my mother used the PC for the first time, and she's had to learning so many things, and now she's enjoy using that. Oh, it's great.
Magical. It's a magical thing. And so, if you want to make a difference, this is the place to do it. This is the, we all try to do good work, but sometimes there are places where you're making a difference. So when I work with older people, every day something happens that I can point to and say, that was a good one, and it's not just me. It attracts really great people. It attracts people like Yasuko, who are so passionate and so effective at their work. And to be able to work in a field where you're surrounded by people that are really committed, it's a good place to be.
Right. Okay, so the last question is now, what is the goal of activity that OATS can do for the aging society, not only for the senior planet?
I mean, the number one thing that we can do is we can change how people think and talk about aging. We still, in America, after all this time, people still talk about aging like it's a problem. And it's not. We need to stop thinking that way. What Senior Planet can do is, when people come to take our programs, they always make something new. They always solve a problem. They create something different. And so when we think about aging from where we are, we're surrounded by people that are building, that are making things happen. And just as an example, the COVID crisis in America, one way to look at it is that it was a terrible disaster, which is true. Another way to look at it was that it was a test of all of us, that it was a test, that we were all asked to do something different. We were all asked to find a way to take care of ourselves, to take care of each other, and to get through this and to try to do better and to try to survive and make it. And when you think about how the country has survived to the extent that we're all still here, a lot of that has come from older people, that older Americans, older people all across the world have learned technology skills. They've found ways to survive in isolation, but to make it and to find ways to keep themselves going. They exercised at home. They found ways to talk to their families on the Zoom and on the phone and to help be supportive and engaged. And so they were a resource that helped us get to a better place and improve. And we're not done, but we wouldn't have gotten this far without millions of older people helping us make it and helping contribute to that. And if you think about how we think about aging today, older people are a resource. Older people are a benefit. They're an opportunity for all of us to live better. And we need to find ways to make sure that we are exposing everybody to that opportunity, where we can't have people shut away. We can't have people, if they want to keep working, keep people working, because we need their expertise and skill. If they want to help their communities, welcome people to those meetings and make sure you're listening and ask questions, because we get that benefit. And so at OATS, the big change that I think we can make, that's not about technology and it's not about Senior Planet, but it's about the bigger society, is we can be an example of what's possible, so that people can look at us and say, oh, okay, well, they did it that way, so we can do it even better. We can make a better business or a better community, and we'll find ways to do that together. But I think what we're after is that change, where people think about aging as one of the real opportunities that we need to come together and make the most of this in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years together.
Right.